Good afternoon, and Nakamik, thank you. My name is George Russell Jr. I am the Director of Environment and Natural Resources with the Newfoundland Community Council. I'm going to give a talk today on consultation engagement with a view from the Newfoundland Community Council. And I just want to say, appreciate this opportunity. Obviously, consultation and engagement is very important for our people and for our communities, and I think, when done properly, is obviously can add a lot to any project, any development, particularly within Labrador and with Indigenous communities. Nunatuhawut, translated from Inuktitut, means our ancient land. See a picture here of my home community along the coastal Labrador. Our people are primarily from southern and central Labrador. We have a deep connection to the land, the water in these areas. We've always been there. And we continue to fight and defend and protect our rights in the environment along these areas. Newfoundland Inuit, as I said, we have a very deep connection with the land, the water, and the resources in our areas. Our people have depended on these resources in these areas for time immemorial. Just some pictures here of different seasons and things that our people do out on the land, different times of year. For the purposes of my presentation today, is there any way you can make that a little bigger down there?
Can we make the screen up here full size?
Thanks. I'm going to talk about consultation and accommodation, the importance of respecting Indigenous knowledge, land use planning, reconciliation, also best practices when it comes to engaging with Indigenous communities, relationship building, and some recommendations from our organization. Consultation and accommodation, engagement and best practices, for us this moves beyond a duty to consult. As Chief Pokoway mentioned earlier, Nuntuhawut has won many cases in Labrador and our territory, and the duty to consult is well communicated and understood by different levels of government when it comes to our people. And I think it's important that that's recognized, but there's more that can be done. From the NCC perspective, we utilize what we call a 2IC approach. We use the best available Western science, but also Indigenous knowledge when it comes to environment, protecting the land, and engaging with potential development in our territory. Inclusion, leading to meaningful relationships and partnerships and positive outcomes is important to us. Obviously, being very respectful of traditional knowledge and land use, and I'll talk a bit more about those in a couple of slides. There's also, federal and provincial and written resources available for mining companies, potential developers, exploration companies, and best practices available. Indigenous knowledge is something that is sacred to our people. It guides us, it guides everything we do. And from our perspective, Indigenous knowledge must be considered into all developments. Capacity building from industry, mining companies, and government is important to helping grow Indigenous knowledge systems. Canada has also adopted many frameworks to include Indigenous knowledge into many processes from Canada across various government departments. And also respecting the knowledge of our elders is key to us and is at the base of everything that we do. Just a quick map here outlining, land use in places that our people go, where we live, we hunt, fish, we gather. In land use, as I said earlier, is very important. It must be considered into all developments when it comes to environmental impact assessment phases, permitting. A formal consultation process is required before projects are released, from our perspective, before permitting is issued. This process requires monitoring and follow-up with our organization as well. We believe the role of industry is important when it comes to reconciliation. Reconciliation based on recognition will require hard work, changes in perspectives and actions, and compromise and good faith. We think that building good relationships with industry is important, and I think it benefits both sides moving forward. Effective and meaningful consultation and accommodation, again, the right approach, consideration of resources and capacity, understanding that many Indigenous communities and organizations don't have the millions of dollars available to review technical documents, environmental impact assessments, understanding that time sometimes is needed. We don't always have the expertise and sometimes the balance of power is different when we have a large multi-million-dollar companies coming in to consult with Indigenous communities. We need sometimes financial supports, and things like quarterly meetings are very important. Flexible schedules and these things, sharing of data, also very important. Understanding project timelines and things are communicated well with Indigenous communities. And we think that sometimes longer consultation periods given us more time to review documents, more time to hold community meetings and incorporate our knowledge in Indigenous knowledge systems into these processes are important. There's also ineffective approaches to engagement. Just meeting with Indigenous communities to check boxes doesn't work. Sort of a one-size-fits-all to consultation is the wrong approach. Every community is different. In Labrador, all 3 Indigenous groups, I think, look at things sometimes differently, but all looking for the same outcomes and goals. Drawing small boundaries or project outlines and study areas can sometimes be damaging. For Nunatuhavu Inuit, everything is connected, and sometimes developing something here, disrupting the land here, can have issues with migratory patterns or other habitations. So for us, everything is connected, and a larger study area works best for us. Obviously, presenting Indigenous engagement and participation plans without our understandings involved is also damaging. But there are some good news stories, and for example, the relationship that the NCC has with R&R Company of Canada is very important to us. The NCC, we've had a long relationship over 10 years with Rio Tinto and IOC in their mine near Lab City. We have close communications with IOC. We have follow-up on important developments and concepts, new planning developments. We always discuss and have time to review watercourse crossings, all these things that have impacts, environmental impacts on Indigenous rights and on our communities. We always have that open communication with IOC, and it has worked for us. The company seems very sensitive to potential impacts on our people, which is very encouraging as well. From our side, with respect to Indigenous consultations and engagement, some recommendations is to meet early and often, maybe extend on some of the permitting process timelines. Just don't assume that traditional knowledge is already incorporated into projects. Talk talk to our people, talk to our communities, ensuring that, you know, what your understanding of Indigenous knowledge that is incorporated into projects is our understanding. You know, obviously, things like participation funding and capacity support are very helpful for us in moving processes along. We don't want to be holding up projects. We don't want to be not fully engaged, but sometimes we do need those resources. And obviously, economic benefits, agreements, and things like that are very important to us as well. Nakamik, thank you.